Hello everyone, I hope you are doing great. In my previous lecture video, I have discussed about chemical vapor deposition processes to synthesis nanomaterials. In this lecture video, I will discuss about applications of nanomaterials in various fields. So let's get started. Subscribe to Dr. Khalkar's classroom channel and press the bell icon to get latest updates. The content of this lecture video is as follows. I will discuss about applications of nanomaterials in three different fields. First of all, medical. In medical field, I will discuss upon nanomedicine, drug delivery, diagnostics, cancer detection, imaging technologies in which the nanomaterials are used. Second field is energy, in which graphene, nanocellulose, silicon material, solar energy, fuel additives, lithium-ion or sulfur batteries which are used in energy field. I will discuss about them. Next field is electronics and information technologies, in which I will explain about transistors, magnetic random access memory, that is MRAM, ultra high definition, that is USD displays and televisions, flexible electronics, nanoparticle copper suspensions, evolution of storage devices, evolution of computing, and evolution of mobile phones. So let's discuss all these applications in detail one by one. First of all, let's see the applications of nanomaterials in medical field, in which, first of all, nanomedicine. The application of nanotechnology for medical purposes have been termed nanomedicine and is defined as the use of nanomaterials for diagnosis, monitoring, control, prevention, and treatment of diseases. Nanomaterials can be applied in nanomedicine for medical purposes in three different areas, that is diagnosis, nanodiagnosis we can say, controlled drug delivery, that is we can say nanotherapy, and the regenerative medicine. Nanomedicine is the medical application of nanotechnology. Nanomedicine ranges from the medical applications of nanomaterials and biological devices to nanoelectronic biosensors, and even possible future applications of molecular nanotechnology such as biological machines. Current problems of nanomedicine involve understanding the issues related to toxicity and environmental impact of nanoscale materials. Functionalities can be added to nanomaterials by interfacing them with biological molecules or structures. The size of nanomaterials is similar to that of most biological molecules and structures. Therefore, nanomaterials can be useful for both in vivo and in vitro biomedical research and applications. Thus far, the integration of nanomaterials with biology has led to the development of diagnostic devices, contrast agents, analytical tools, physical therapy applications, and drug delivery vehicles. Now let's see the impacts of nanomedicine in all fields of medicine such as diagnostics, medical imaging, nanotherapeutics, vaccines, regenerative medicine. Nanomedicine impacts all these fields of medicine. Nanomedicine is understood to be a key enabling instrument for personalized, targeted, and regenerative medicine by delivering the next level of new drugs, treatments, and implantable devices to clinicians and patients for real breakthroughs in healthcare. Beyond that, nanomedicine provides important new tools to deal with the grand challenge of an aging population and is thought to be instrumental for improved and cost-effective healthcare, one crucial factor for making medicines and treatments available and affordable to all. Now let's see drug delivery. Nanotechnology has provided the possibility of delivering drugs to specific cells using nanoparticles. The overall drug consumption and side effects may be lowered significantly by depositing the active agent in the morbid region only and in no higher dose than needed. Targeted drug delivery is intended to reduce the side effects of drugs, decreases in consumption and treatment expenses. Drug delivery focuses on maximizing bioavailability both at specific places in the body and over a period of time. This can potentially be achieved by molecular targeting by nano-engineered devices. A benefit of using nanoscale for medical technologies is that smaller devices are less invasive and can possibly be implanted inside the body. Plus, biochemical reaction times are much shorter. These devices are faster and more sensitive than typical drug delivery. The efficacy of drug delivery through nanomedicine is largely based upon first, efficient encapsulation of the drugs, second, successful delivery of drugs to the targeted region of the body, and third one is a successful release of the drug. Here are the two pictures of nanoparticles which are used as a drug delivery, which are first is liposomes and second one is dendrimers. These two nanomaterials are being investigated for use in nanomedicine. Now let's see nanomedicine diagnostics. In the past few decades, imaging has become a critical tool in diagnosis of diseases. The advantages in the form of magnetic resonance and computer tomography are remarkable. But nanotechnology promises sensitive and extremely accurate tools for in vitro and in vivo diagnostics. As with any advance in diagnostics, the ultimate goal is to enable physicians to identify a disease as early as possible. Nanotechnology is expected to make possible at cellular and even the subcellular level. For example, cantilevers for use in diagnostics applications. The innovative nano cantilevers enables the quantitative measurements of low levels of certain molecules. Nanoscale cantilever arrays comprise microscopic flexible beams that resemble a row of diving boards and provide rapid and sensitive detection. The physical properties of the cantilevers change as a result of the binding event and can be read in real time. A nanocantilever's deflection and the resonant frequency may be sensitively modulated by the binding of surface immobilized affinity reagent to a biomarker protein or nucleic acid via hybridization. For example, an antibody-coated cantilever can selectively bind to one or more specific molecular products secreted by cancer cell as shown in this figure. This detection can be coupled with modern communication tools, for example smartphones, and provides a customized and real-time diagnosis on a disease blood markers. Thus, patients will have the unique capability to access in real time their own inflammatory level. Schematic diagram illustrating an example application of nanotechnology to medicine. Now let's see cancer detection, the future of cancer diagnosis and treatment through nanomedicine. The shape, size, surface of nanomaterials plays important role in diagnosis and treatment. Different nanoparticles of different shapes such as carbon nanotubes, polymer particles, liposomes, solid lipid hybrid particle, metal nanoparticles such as gold, silver, etc. plays important role in cancer diagnosis and treatment. The biggest advantages of nanoparticles are they can carry, detect and manipulate cells on a molecular level. When applied clinically, nanoparticles can aid doctors during the diagnosis and the treatment processes of cancer. This can be shorten the period of diagnosis from lasting weeks or months down to just hours. Nanoparticles can deliver drugs to targeted area in the body without causing unwanted side effects. Proceeding from diagnosis in nanodrug delivery. The aspects of nanodrug delivery that makes it so unique and potentially the most effective treatment for cancer is its ability to deliver chemotherapy drugs to cancerous cells in a targeted manner. Traditional cancer treatments operate indiscriminately in the body, causing a whole host of side effects including pain, hair loss, kidney dysfunction, and the death of white blood cells. A decrease in white blood cells equates to weaker immune system, making the patient much more vulnerable to other diseases. Nanotechnology-based treatments that work in specialized and targeted manner can prevent these side effects. In active cancer nanotherapy, a complex is formed for chemotherapy drug delivery. Specific molecules such as antibodies or proteins can be attached to the surface of the plasmonic nanoparticle containing chemotherapy drugs. These nanoparticles will then be interacting with the cancer cells via endocytosis in the blood vessels. Gold is one of the best nanoparticles for drug delivery and diagnosis due to its unique surface electron movements and effectiveness of surface functionalization. Here are the examples of gold nanoparticles used in oncology. As shown in figure A, nanoshells with silica core with a diameter of about 100 nanometers. Hollow nanoshells can also be made and they have great plasmonic photothermal activities. And in figure B, gold nanorods are solid and cylindrical shapes, whereas in figure C, they are solid nanospheres. In cancer detection, the ability of gold nanoparticles to be functionalized is developed in order to maximize the precision of nanoparticles. Functionalization allows active, specific targeting and replacement of potentially cytotoxic chemicals used in the synthesis processes. This can be achieved through the two forms of connections: covalent bonding that involves chemical attachments or non-covalent interactions that include intra and intermolecular forces. Nanoparticle using covalent and non-covalent forces. Here common functionalization strategies of gold and silver nanostructures for use in biomedical applications are shown. Here dative bonding, amide, thiourea, and carbamate linkages are covalent interactions, whereas electrostatic and hydrophobic entrapment are non-covalent interactions. Now let's see the importance of correct functionalization group in cancer detection. Dark field microscope images of squamous cell carcinomas, that is SCC, head and neck cancer cells with a scale of 10 nanometer is shown in this figure. Having an antibody-specific functionalization group is essential to improving diagnostics. Figure is a clear example of how a correct antibody can lead to a much more precise imaging. The two images on the left are those after gold nanorods functionalized with non-A9 antigen-specific antibodies are introduced into the body, whereas the right two are those after A9 functionalized gold nanorods are introduced. Apart from the improvement in clarity, the small 20 nanometer cells are detected and these metastases can be eliminated. Nanotechnology-based medical diagnosis techniques are under development. Researchers at University of Maryland are using gold nanoparticles to develop a quick diagnostics test for COVID-19. Researchers at Duke University are using silver plates gold nanostars in a sensor to detect RNA molecules that are early indicators of cancer. Researchers at Osaka University have combined nanopore sensors with artificial intelligence techniques and demonstrated that they can identify single virus particles. This method may provide rapid, point-of-use identification of viruses. A method for detecting cancer cells in the bloodstream is being developed using nanoparticles called nanoflares. The nanoflares are designed to bind to genetic targets in cancer cells and generate light when that particular genetic target is found. Now let's see imaging techniques. Applications of nanoparticles in biomedical imaging, for example, nanoparticles in fluorescence imaging applications. As shown in figure, normal and cancerous tumors. Although MRI, CT scan are commonly used to detect lesions, imaging resolution remains on a macroscopic. Fluorescence imaging technology can provide the level and has highest spatial resolution for disease diagnosis on microscopic level, especially with near-infrared fluorescence, that is NIRF imaging. Compared with visible light, NIRF has advantages of deeper tissue penetration and less non-specific tissue autofluorescence. In fluorescence imaging technology, as shown in figure, different structure and composition of nanoparticles in fluorescence biomedical imaging is used. In figure A, which is vector type, figure B is core shell structure of nanoparticles, figure C, nanoparticles as a quencher, figure D, nanoparticles connected with fluorophore and quencher. And in figure E, faster resonance energy transfer imaging nanoparticles, that is yellow arrow, which is nanoparticle, red arrow, fluorescent dye, blue arrow, which is ligand, gray arrow, which is quencher, yellow curve arrow is energy transfer, green curve arrow, that is excitation light, and red curve arrow, that is emission light, where MMP is matrix metalloproteinase. One more example of fluorescence imaging technology is shown here. A safer MRI contrast in a compact plasmonic nanoparticle with enhanced fluorescence synthesized by multilayer core shell nanostructure known as Nanomaterials, that is NM. Each Nanomaterials consists of an gold core and gold shell and silica spacing layer encapsulating magnetic metal and fluorescent dye. This form protects fluorescent dye and reduces free metal release, as shown in figure A, which is untreated in MRI. In figure B is treated in MRI. Red circle is a nanoparticle and blue circle is a saline. And in figure C, fluorescence imaging after injection. This nanoparticle can enable not only powerful tissue visualization with MRI, but also fluorescence-based nanoparticle tracking. This is all about applications of nanomaterials in medical field. Now let's see the applications of nanomaterials in energy. An important subfield of nanotechnology related to energy is nanofabrication, the process of designing and creating devices on the nanoscale. The ability to create devices smaller than 100 nanometers opens many doors for the development of new ways to capture, store, and transfer energy. Improvements in the precision of nanofabrication technologies are critical to solving many energy-related problems that the world is currently facing. First of all, let's see graphene-based nanomaterials in energy. Graphene recently emerges as a promising material for energy storage because of several properties such as low weight, chemical inertness, and low price. Graphene is an allotrope of carbon that exists as a two-dimensional sheet of carbon atoms organized in a hexagonal lattice. Graphene has great potential in the modification of a sulfur cathode for a high performance in lithium-sulfur batteries, which has been broadly investigated in recent years. Schematic of a graphene oxide membrane incorporates a lithium-sulfur battery. Graphene oxide membrane, which was sandwiched between cathode and anode electrodes, which may efficiently prohibit the shuttle of polysulfides through the membrane. Now let's see one more example, that is lithium-ion or sulfur-based high-performance batteries. The lithium-ion battery is currently one of the most popular electrochemical energy storage systems and has been widely used in areas from portable electronics to electric vehicles. However, the gravimetric energy density of lithium-ion batteries is limited and less than that of fossil fuels. The lithium-sulfur battery, which has the much higher energy density than the lithium-ion battery, has been attracting worldwide attention in the recent years. Next is nanocellulose-based nanomaterials in energy. As shown in this diagram, cellulose is the most abundant natural polymer on Earth. Currently, nanocellulose-based mesoporous structures, flexible thin films, fibers, and networks are developed and used in photovoltaic devices, energy storage systems, mechanical energy harvesters, and catalysis components. Nanocellulose are promising materials for soft and sustainable energy devices due to its unique properties. The advantages of nanocellulose is in the applications of supercapacitors, lithium-ion batteries, and solar cells is illustrated in this diagram. Now let's see silicon-based nanomaterials in solar energy. As shown in these diagrams, engineered nanomaterials are key building blocks of the current generation solar cells. Today's best solar cells have layers of several different semiconductor stocks together to absorb light at different energies, but still only manage to use approximately 40% of the sun's energy. Commercially available solar cells have much lower efficiency, which is between 15 to 20%. Nanostructuring has been used to improve the efficiencies of established photovoltaic technologies. Silicon-based nano semiconductors have the most useful application in solar energy, and it also has been extensively studied. They utilize silicon nanoparticles in order to absorb a greater range of wavelengths from the electromagnetic spectrum. This can be done by putting many identical and equal spaced silicon rods on the surface. For example, by improving current collections in amorphous silicon devices, plasmonic enhancement in dye-sensitized solar cells, that is DSSC, and improved light trapping in crystalline silicon. Furthermore, nanotechnology could help increase the efficiency of light conversion by utilizing the flexible band gaps of nanomaterials, or by controlling the directivity and the photon escape probability of photovoltaic devices. Schematic representation of typical solar cell construction using titanium dioxide nanotubes grown on a titanium substrate and a section of dye-sensitized solar cells are shown here. Titanium dioxide is one of the most widely investigated metal oxide for use in photovoltaic cells in the past few decades because of its low cost, environmentally friendly, and good stability and excellent electronic and optical properties. One more example of nanomaterial which is commonly used in solar cell is CIGS, that is copper, indium, gallium, selenium. And alternative to CIGS is CGTS, that is copper, zinc, tin, sulfur. During my PhD work, I have deposited Cu2ZnSnS4, that is CGTS, thin films followed by complete fabrication of solar cell device using the magnetron sputtering technique. A typical architecture of CGTS based solar cell and the scanning electron microscope cross-section image of CGTS solar cell and actual CGTS solar cell are shown here. The growth parameters such as working pressure, target powers, and post-annealing atmosphere were optimized for CGTS films deposition. CGTS, that is Cu2ZnSnS4, that is kesterite phase, is a quaternary semiconducting material which is a direct bandgap semiconductor with 1.4 to 1.5 electron holes and large optical absorption coefficient of 10 raised to 4 per centimeter. Its photovoltaic properties are closely resembled to the CIGS, which is chalcopyrite compound, which has already been commercialized for photovoltaic applications. The constituent elements of CGTS are abundant in Earth's crust and are non-toxic. Because of these advantages, CGTS holds great promise as an alternative material for use in absorber layer for solar cells. Solar cells prepared using CGTS absorber layer showed an efficiency over 12%. There are other materials which are used to fabricate solar cells such as monocrystalline silicon, group 3 and 5 semiconductors, perovskites, organics materials, and graphene. The use of graphene in solar cells we have already discussed before. Now let's see nanoparticle fuel additives. Role of microbial lipases in trans-esterification processes for biodiesel production is shown here. In organic chemistry, trans-esterification is the process of exchanging the organic group R of an ester with the organic group R of an alcohol. These reactions are often catalyzed by the addition of an acid or base catalysts. Nanomaterials can be used in a variety of ways to reduce energy consumption. Nanoparticle fuel additives can also be of great use in reducing carbon emissions and increasing the efficiency of the combustion fuels. Cerium oxide nanoparticles have been shown to be very good at catalyzing the decomposition of unburnt hydrocarbons and other small particle emissions due to their high surface area to volume ratio, as well as lowering the pressure within the combustion chamber of engines to increase engine efficiency and curb nitrogen oxide emissions. Addition of carbon nanoparticles has also successfully increased burning rate and ignition delay in the jet fuel. Iron nanoparticles additives to biodiesel and diesel fuels have also shown a decrease in fuel consumption and volumetric emissions of hydrocarbons by 3 to 6%, carbon monoxide by 6 to 12%, and nitrogen oxide by 4 to 11%. Now let's see one more example of aluminum nanoparticles fuel additives. Synthesis scheme for the formation of alumina nanoparticles is shown here. Nanoparticles and microparticles of aluminum have also been extensively investigated as a potential fuel additives. The main reason of this is because of aluminum's ability to increase the power output of engines as a result of its high combustion energy. Recent advances in the fabrication and characterization of nanoparticles have provided researchers with a more detailed understanding of the relationship that exists between particle size and structure with performance benefit, thereby supporting research into aluminum nanoparticle fuel additives. Nano-sized particles of aluminum provided a greater performance benefits as compared to the aluminum microparticles. The characteristics of nanoaluminum is a suspension were found to be more conductive to the formation of micro explosions during combustion, which assist the air-fuel mixing and leads to cleaner, more efficient combustion. Now let's see one more example of nanoparticles fuel additives, that is cerium oxide. Cerium oxide nanoparticles has the ability to catalyze combustion reactions by donating oxygen atoms from its lattice structure. This catalytic activity is dependent on the surface area. Therefore, using a nanoscale cerium oxide particles can offer distinct advantages over bulk material or larger particles. Adding cerium oxide nanoparticles to fuel can help assist in the decomposition of unburnt hydrocarbons and soot, therefore reducing the emission of these pollutants from the exhaust while simultaneously reducing the amount of the fuel used. It has also been used that cerium oxide decreases the pressure in combustion chamber, which reduces the production of nitrogen oxides and makes combustion reactions more efficient. Cerium oxide nanoparticles can also be used as a short-term treatment for particulate filters in diesel engines. Biosynthesis, reduction, stabilization and characterization of cerium oxide nanoparticles, in which leaf extract of moringa is used to synthesize cerium oxide nanoparticles as a fuel additives as shown in this figure. This is all about the applications of nanomaterials in the field of energy. Now let's see the applications of nanomaterials in the field of electronics and information technology. Nanotechnology has greatly contributed to the major advantages in computing and electronics, leading to the faster, smaller and more portable systems that can manage and store larger and larger amounts of information. These continuously evolving applications, which are including, first of all, transistor. The basic switches that enable all modern computing have gotten smaller and smaller through nanotechnology. In 1947, in the beginning, there was the point contact transistor. This was the very first transistor ever made, built by Walter Brattain with the help of John Bardeen. It was made up of two gold foil contacts sitting on the germanium crystal. Current coming in one contact would cause the germanium crystal to boost the strength of the current flowing through the one another contact. In 1948, next there was the type A transistor, the first transistor that Bell actually sold. This was still a point contact transistor but modified so that it works consistently and could be easily mass produced. In 1951, the first big change in transistors occurs when William Schottky developed a junction transistor. The first junction transistors were sandwiches of N and P-type germanium with an excess and scarcity of electrons respectively. A weak voltage coming into the middle layer would affect another current traveling across the entire sandwich. Between 1956 to 1958, the methods for building transistors improved substantially as the decade went on. By laying patterns over the crystal, scientists could etch away specific parts of the crystal or add impurities to other parts as necessary. The first of these transistors, developed at Bell Laboratory, left a little protrusions sticking out of the middle, and so they were named Mesa transistors after the Spanish word for table. Later, Fairchild Semiconductor developed a version which was entirely flat. These were called planar transistors. In 1958, germanium transistors broke down at high temperatures, so they were eventually replaced by silicon transistors. Gordon Thiel built the first silicon transistor, which worked just like a germanium junction transistor. In 1960s, the next big jump of transistor revolution came with the field effect transistor. Most modern transistors are field effect transistors, specifically metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistors or MOSFET. Instead of being a sandwich, MOSFETs have a channel of either N or P-type semiconductor running through a ridge on the top of each other. As a voltage is applied to this channel, it creates an electric field which acts like faucet to turn on or off current through the rest of the transistor. MOSFETs were not originally better than the junction transistors, but they are much easier to make an integrated circuit of microprocessors, and so they soon become the preferred type of transistor. At the turn of century, a typical transistor was 130 to 250 nanometers in size. In 2014, Intel created a 14 nanometer transistor. Then IBM created the first 7 nanometer transistor in 2015. And then Lawrence Berkeley National Lab demonstrated a 1 nanometer transistor in 2016. Smaller, faster, and better transistors may mean that soon your computer's entire memory may be stored on a single tiny chip. Now let's see magnetic random access memory, that is MRAM. Using magnetic random access memory, computers will be able to boot almost instantly. MRAM is enabled by nanometer scale magnetic tunnel junctions and can quickly and effectively save data during a system shutdown or enable resume play features. These are the few pictures of magnetic random access memories. Now let's see the ultra high definition displays and televisions. Ultra high definition, that is UHD, displays and televisions are now being sold that use quantum dots to produce more vibrant colors while being more energy efficient. Here is the picture of UHD television. Now let's see flexible, bendable, foldable, rollable and stretchable electronics. Flexible electronics are reaching into various sectors and are being integrated into a variety of products including wearable, medical applications, aerospace applications, and the Internet of Things. Flexible electronics have been developed using, for example, semiconductor nanomembranes for applications in smartphone and e-reader displays. Other nanomaterials like graphene and cellulosic nanomaterials are being used for various types of flexible electronics to enable wearable and tattoo sensors, photovoltaic that can be sewn onto clothing, and the electronic paper that can be rolled up, making flat, flexible, lightweight, non-brittle, highly efficient electronics opens the door to countless smart products. Here are the few pictures of foldable displays, foldable printing circuit boards, etc. Now let's see other computing and electronic products, which includes flash memory chips for smartphones and thumb drives, ultra-responsive hearing aids, antimicrobial and antibacterial coatings on keyboards and cell phone casings, conductive inks for printed electronics for RFID, that is radio frequency identification, smart cards, smart packaging, and flexible displays for e-book readers, etc. One more important example of nanoparticles in electronics is nanoparticle copper suspensions. Nanoparticle copper suspensions has been developed as a safer, cheaper, and more reliable alternative to lead-based solder and other hazardous materials commonly used to fuse electronics in the assembly processes. Copper nanoparticles in aqueous suspension provides protection against oxidation of minimum of 1 year in storage while also maintaining the shape and size of the nanoparticles and allowing safe transportation of the product. Benefits of this product compared to the powder is it facilitates adding copper nanoparticles to pigments in paint formulations, facilitates the dispersion and stabilization of paint mixtures. It does not contain volatile organic compounds. It longer shelf life compared to the powder form, no oxidation or loss of its unique characteristics. Production processes allows adjustment of the size distribution of the nanoparticles. Now let's have a look onto the evolution of storage devices. Since the invention of the computers and various computing devices, data storage capacity has always been a major concern. As computers got more advanced, data size increased, thus creating an everlasting demand for increasing storage capacity. Data storage devices have evolved drastically from being large trunks with the capacity to hold a few kilobytes of data to microchips able to hold a few gigabytes of data. We often take the devices that store our data for granted, as they have become so inexpensive and efficient, but we have come a long way from the early days of computing. Take a look into the evolution of the most important devices in the history of data storage. The IBM 350 was the first disk drive introduced by IBM and was the first of a large wardrobe but contained a very small amount of the data compared to today's data size. But back then it was a major invention. It had a data storage capacity of about 3.75 MB. The IBM 1301 took a leap in terms of storage with respect to its predecessors and had the capacity to hold about 19 MB of data. Finally, the issue of physical space needed to accommodate a hard disk drive was realized, and hard disk drives started to get a little smaller from large wardrobes to a pretty small box. IBM 1311 was the first hard disk drive to introduce removable disk packs, each disk pack containing about 2 million characters. In the year 2000, a new storage device based on a nanotechnology called flash storage, which is the fast storage technology, came into existence with the decrease in size again. The world's first 1 terabyte USB flash drive introduced by Kingston. This is surely one powerful little device which a data transfer rate of about 240 megabytes per second. The Lexar microSD XC memory card, which offers a storage capacity of about 256 gigabytes, data transfer at 90 megabytes per second. Now let's see the evolution of computing. Although computers seem like a relatively modern invention, computing dates back to the early 1800s. Throughout computing history, there has not been a lone inventor or a single first computer. The invention of the computer was incremental, with dozens of scientists and mathematicians building on their predecessors. The modern computer, however, can be traced back to the 1930s. In 1930s marked the beginning of calculating machines, which were considered the first programmable computers. In the 1940s, computers took up entire rooms like the ENIAC, which was once called a mathematical robot. In the 1950s, computers were strictly used for scientific and engineering research like ENIAC, which was the once described as helpful assistant for mathematicians. In 1960s, everything changed when the Programma 101 became the first desktop computer sold to the average consumer. As personal computers became popular in 1970s, the Xerox Alto helped pave the way to Steve Jobs' Apple. In 1980s, Apple's Macintosh was described as a game changer for the computer industry. As the 1990s marked a period of self-expression, Apple released the famous iMac G3, which was customizable. In the early 2000s, laptops became increasingly popular, especially after Apple launched its MacBook Air. Today's most innovative computers are tablets, which are simple touchscreens without a keyboard or a mouse. Now let's have a look into the evolution of mobile phones to smartphones. In 1983, the world got the first ever portable mobile phone in the shape of the Motorola Dyna TAC 8000X. In 1991 to 1994, GSM first launched in Europe 1991 with the Orbitel TPU 900 first to market, but it wasn't until 1992 that mobiles were no longer restricted to business use. In 1995 to 1998, although it is only offered 4 colors, the Siemens S10 brought mobile phones displays to life for the first time in 1997. In 1999, saw Nokia unveil the 7110, which was the first device to take advantage of WAP, a means of accessing information over a mobile wireless network. Between 2003 to 2006, the implementation of 3G took download speeds up to 2 megabytes per second. In March 2003, with 3, the first of offered the service in the UK. Between 2007 to 2010, sweeping and scrolling replaced the traditional button method of input. The LG Prada being the first touchscreen to market ahead of the Apple iPhone in May 2007. However, Apple proved to have both the stronger brand and superior knowledge of the capacitive touchscreen's potential. Between 2011 to 2014, smartphones became increasingly central to modern life, offering much more than the just communication features. The UK's first 4G service launched in 11 cities by EE in 2012, taking download speeds up to 12 megabytes per second. Voice recognition became commonplace first with Google Voice before Apple launched Siri into the market. Samsung added a built-in heart rate monitor to their flagship Galaxy S5 to capitalize on growth in mobile health and fitness. During 2015 and 2018, the global adoption of 4G vastly improves video streaming and video calling capabilities. Screen sizes continue to grow to maximize the experience of these features, with the iPhone 7 Plus displays now 57% larger than the original iPhone from 2007. Mobile payments also emerges with Apple Pay and Android Pay, offering users the possibility of buying things with their smartphone. In 2020, EE launches the UK's first 5G service in 6 cities throughout May 2019. The fifth generation network promises vastly superior data speeds and reliability, boosting ultra high resolution, video streaming, and mobile gaming. Handset design trends continue to push for an all screen experience, with OnePlus introducing the pop up selfie camera to its flagship 7 Pro device to do away with the notch altogether. This is all about introduction to nanotechnology. Before closing this course, I would like to say a very motivational quote by His Excellency Honorable late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir. Dream is not that which you see while sleeping. It is something that does not let you sleep. All the best for your future endeavors. Thank you. Below this video, in the description, the link of important information related to this video is given. Please go through it. Please like and share this video and subscribe to Dr. Khalkar's Classroom channel to get the notifications about my upcoming videos. Thank you.